What's up, Acadiana, and welcome to Offsides. I'm Shannon Wilkerson here with Brandon Comeaux. Thanks for joining us for today's broadcast. We'll be with you until 6 o'clock. It's currently 4:07. Getting a little cloudy. Looks like we might get some rain this afternoon, but that's okay because it'll cool off the concrete, and just want to make sure everybody's driving safely. But anyway, glad to have us back here on the air. Glad to have you here today with me, as usual, every Monday. How was your weekend?
It was great, man. Went over to the local KOA and spent some time outdoors. The weather actually held up pretty well over the weekend. It didn't really rain where we were much. It got overcast, but that's nice. I like when it gets overcast like this. So who knows if it's going to rain today? It might do like it did over the weekend just in our area and just kind of stay overcast.
I'm appreciative of the cloud cover.
Me too.
Okay,
Me too.
Okay, so got some very disturbing information to have a conversation about today. Current data shows that socialism is growing rapidly on college campuses. The Young Democratic Socialist of America organizations claim to have gone from just 15 campus chapters in 2016 to 250 today. 250 campuses apparently have chapters on there, and these are college students wanting socialism. In addition to that, the Democratic Socialists of America, since Bernie Sanders originally was running for president and announced his campaign, their numbers have grown from 7,000 to 37,000. Also, one of the things that I found interesting about these college students specifically is that they really do believe that socialism or communism are better alternatives to capitalism. Now, there's a lot of reasons and studies for that we can get into for the throughout the hour. But one of the main reasons is that they see all these other countries that have socialism, and all they really see is free health care and free college tuition.
Yeah, they don't live it.
They don't live it. That's
they don't
right.
live it. And that's one reason why, if you look at the fact that basically what they're being taught is that capitalism is evil, socialism is good. And if you look at some of the polls that show some of the numbers between millennials, the millennial generation, and those that are on college campuses and older adults, well, amongst the millennial generation and college-age kids, that age has very favorable views towards socialism. But if you go up towards the age group above them, those favorable views on socialism drop dramatically. Why? Because they've seen some of these socialist countries over the years that have fallen. I mean, you look at socialism, communism. Think of the Soviet Union. Look at the horrible fall that the Soviet Union had, and the fact that these countries, there was wars and disputes to be able to get out from under the Soviet Union. And so it's really, as we're getting farther away from some of that history, the Cold War era, it's unfortunate that many of these young people don't know their history and they're just being led like sheep.
Yeah, I agree. Well, communism and socialism just haven't influenced this generation like it did with their parents or their grandparents. A couple of staggering results from some polls recently that were taken. When it comes to people under 30, 53% of them favor socialism as an alternative to capitalism. 69% of them would be willing to vote for a candidate that is openly socialist. 69% of them favor increased taxes to support a universal health care system. 54% of them support increased taxes to have free college tuition. And 52% of them favor the idea of a bigger government. So I think that this is just an illustration of ignorance. I mean, this is basically, that's how I see it. When you see those kind of numbers, I think to myself, okay, these are just people that are naive to the reality of the world. They haven't been exposed to having real jobs and real responsibility, and they just love the idea of this fair world. But they don't realize what these other countries that have free college tuition and free healthcare systems, what they are really like to live in.
Well, and here's the thing. You have people that are on the far left, and this is very far left, these democratic socialists. They are very militant about putting their information out and about shutting down the opposing side. When you have people that are in favor of capitalism when it's done correctly, and when you have people that are in favor of conservatism, they generally aren't as aggressive in trying to reach certain groups of people, especially the young people like this. And so it's no wonder to me that you have these young, impressionable minds that are sold this bill of goods that basically says, hey, look, socialism, free healthcare for all, free this and free that.
Right.
Well, it appeals to the heart, and it says, okay, well, yeah, of course I'm in favor of that. And if you're not, and if I'm not in favor, that makes me a horrible person. And so they go by, like you said, this ignorance because they haven't experienced life. And unfortunately, they haven't been taught enough by people that have a more conservative view or people that have done right through capitalism, and they haven't been shown how successful it can be. And it's incredibly unfortunate. It makes me very sad for the future generations coming up that they are so easily manipulated right now.
Yes. Don't be too sad yet, okay? Because I've got some other information that I found to be a good illustration of how hypocritical this generation is, but how they do kind of start to figure things out.
Yeah.
Let me share this with you.
Go ahead.
Okay? 57% of this group favor higher taxes for health care, like I mentioned before, if they are on their parents' policy and their parents are paying for it. However, that number changes drastically when they are paying for their own health care system.
Well, yeah.
59% of them are opposed to the taxes.
Yeah.
So as soon as they start paying on their own, these opinions flip very, very severely. As I said, to go from 57 to 59, that is what, a 116-point swing. And so I think that, like we've said many times on this show, it's easy to be liberal when you're young and you don't have real responsibilities. But you do start seeing a change in their opinion once they start having to work and once they start having to pay their own bills. But yes, I agree with you. It's still very risky, and it's very sad that it takes them to get well into their 30s and start having a more realistic view of the world.
Once you get a look at that first paycheck, and you see how much government is taking out.
Yes.
Or if you're working in a situation where maybe you're a contract worker and you're not getting popped every paycheck on taxes, but then when you get to the end of the year and it's tax time and you find out how much more you get popped and how much higher, then you realize, wait a minute, maybe the government has too much taxes.
That's right. Well, guess what? 56% of those under 30 are in support of income redistribution. Okay. However, when that same group starts making $40,000 to $60,000 a year, they are all opposed to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens when they start getting out in the real world. They start realizing what you just said. Man, they're taking a lot of money out of my check, and I'm working really hard, and I should be able to take more home. And they realize that they were wrong.
232-1542. We want to go ahead and get some of you involved as well. We go to the Cajun Harley Hotline. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going today?
Good.
Yeah, today, you reminded me so much of 1979. I graduated in 79, and all of a sudden, free enterprise was a requirement. If you did not pass free enterprise, you did not graduate. And I learned a lot about our country and what we stand for as far as how to grow our economy. Now, they don't teach that any longer. And it went from learning the truth of how our country works to a perception, which to me perception is very close to the same word as deception. And that's what these kids are living under, a deception. I'd be willing to sponsor one of these kids to send them, say, to China. And, let them be educated there for a year and let them see their real world in China, how it works. I was reading an article, switching this, I was reading an article about North Korea. North Korea, their normal income is $30 to $40 a month.
Yeah, man.
Now, this is ludicrous. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Trying to live on $40 a month.
That's $10 a week. Okay, that's $10 a week. If you work 5 days a week, that's $2 a day.
It can't be done.
No, it can't be done.
I mean, it's crazy. Now, I want to mention this is kind of off course, but the other night I was watching an article, listening to a program, and they was talking about how China came into our one of our colleges. And I want to say it was Harvard or Duke, but we had developed a cloaking device. China came in to the college, measured it, took pictures, took all the technology, and took it back with them to China. This was a student that China had brought into our country, learned how this device worked, and all the specifics. We don't have to worry about espionage. They're coming in clean, and we're letting the technology go.
Good point, caller. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and he mentioned colleges, and that's what we're talking about too here, is that the colleges is where they're getting in at, where they're infiltrating, where these democratic socialists are infiltrating this younger generation.
Through the professors,
through the professors, and through clubs as well. As a matter of fact, the democratic socialist groups that are spreading on college campuses, they've quadrupled. The Young Democratic Socialists of America have nearly quadrupled their presence on college campuses since President Trump was elected. They had a big fall drive in the fall of 2017, and that's where all of a sudden membership in these groups started skyrocketing. So basically, they've experienced a 280% increase in the number of clubs from 2016 to 2018. Again, this is the Young Democratic Socialists of America. And when you see what's going on with, you mentioned Bernie Sanders earlier, but also Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez up in New York, someone that falls within that age range. I think she's 28 years old.
That's right. She's 28 years old.
She falls in that age range. She is seen as someone that is like one of them. So when they see that success, that makes them even more excited about the reality going forward.
I think that what they perceive as what socialism here would be is that everybody would be in a very comfortable middle class, and there would be no more billionaires. What I really think is that they believe that their lifestyle really wouldn't change very much, but only the rich people's lifestyle would change. They would bring them down to their level income, and that the rich elite, if you will, in the country hoard so much money that if we took that money from them, then we would all be equal in what we like to know as a middle class. But that's not what would happen. They don't have enough money for that to work.
All socialism and communism does, as we go back to the phone lines, is drag down a society. It doesn't lift anybody up. It drags people down. 232-1542, caller, you're up. Go ahead.
I just want to add a couple of things. I don't like the title of democratic socialist. I think it should be referred to like taking care of our people in our country. What's wrong with medical? If I'm mistaken, we had the opportunity after World War II or I, that when the war was over, England said, you know what, we're going to give everyone medical. There was other countries that said, we're going to do the same thing. America said, no, we're going to do it our way. Now we have, it hurts more now because we're not used to getting the money. And that's the problem. If we did it way back then, it wouldn't hurt so bad. We would be taking care of our people.
You mean providing health care?
What's that?
Are you talking, when you say we should have done it back then, you're referring to universal health care?
Yeah, we have that.
Just wanted to clarify.
All the countries were doing that.
Yeah.
We have that. We chose, the powers that be chose not to do it for America. That's our loss. That's our mistake. It wouldn't have hurt so much if we did it back then.
But after World War I and II, after World War II, we actually had a president that installed a lot of social welfare programs. President, I'm blanking on his name. I can see him. Franklin Roosevelt. He was someone that installed a lot of social welfare programs. So I'm kind of surprised that was one area that he didn't tackle more.
I am too.
Because of what he believed in.
And I see the caller's point that now it would cripple our system so much. It would have such an incredible effect that if we would have implemented it then we would have hopefully like this well-oiled machine by now. I don't know if I can agree or not with you, caller, but I see your point. And I think that whether we had it then or not, the point is that what we have right now is also very dysfunctional. Okay, our healthcare system is very dysfunctional right now. Whether or not the answer is universal health care, that worries me too, simply because of the fact that anything that we give to government to take care of and to handle for us is a disaster.
And Carl, I want to come back to you in just a second, but I do want to say this before, because you just mentioned that, Shannon, with our health care, and it is a disaster. And during this whole Obamacare, which I've never supported Obamacare, but during that whole time, you had people that would say, hey, why mess up the best healthcare system in the world? And I cannot say that we have the best healthcare system in the world. Now, again, I do not think the answer to that is Obamacare.
Yep.
And I respectfully disagree that it's universal healthcare is the answer to that as well. I've talked with people that have lived in Canada, that have lived under it, and they say it's a horrible when you have to wait forever to get to it.
In fact, I saw a report recently that Canada was ranked as the worst healthcare system in advanced countries. They are the worst up there. And so, universal health, I just don't like the idea of government being in control of that. I don't like that. I don't like government mandating who I need to go see as a doctor or what things are going to cost. But I think that now the private sector and pharmaceuticals have run amok for such a long time that now they are arguably out of control.
Well, and let me ask you this, Mel, because, again, we do want to hear points of view from all sides. You're talking about how you're in support of universal health care, and you mentioned how other countries like Britain undertook this years ago. Can you give an example of any of these countries? I know you mentioned Britain, but that have been successful, that you believe in implementing universal health care, and how you believe we should model our system after them?
I know there's Norway that does universal. They seem like they're happy. I just like to go back a little bit about Obamacare. I think that, and this is what I truly believe, I think every president brings in something good for the country. Okay, Obamacare is something that he brought in. It was broken, maybe, it needed to be fixed a little bit. But when Trump came in, he didn't have to dismantle it, fix it. You don't have to take it away. Every president brings something good. He could have said, we're going to do this to it and make it better.
So you think that it's repairable as is, and it just needs to be tweaked instead of replaced?
I'm saying we need medical. I know that I watched a story on PBS that women die more from C-sections, and I knew that when I had my last daughter. I said, the first thing they wanted is to give C-sections. A lot of women are dying from that.
Well, and let me ask you this, Mel. How do you feel that President Trump has taken away Obamacare? Because, one thing I think that he's taken away that was a good thing, or he's been a part of taking away, is working on getting these penalties taken off. I know people that have been hit hard by having penalties put on them because they didn't have health insurance, but because
they couldn't they didn't have health insurance because they couldn't afford it.
Exactly, and Obamacare forced them to say, "Hey, look, you either get health insurance or you have to pay a fine," which a lot of people, and I agree, I don't think that's constitutional. But I'm curious though, ma'am. I do want to hear this. Where do you believe that President Trump has taken away Obamacare that has hurt people since he's come in office?
So the penalties, they're hard for people. Fix it. Find a better way. You don't have to scrap it. If he's a great president, why not give his people medical? We need it. If he has a heart, he would help. Instead of saying no one gets it. If it's not fair for whatever or this penalty, I'm going to scrap it for everybody. That's not cool. That's
all right.
Having a heart.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Mel.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that.
232-1542. We'll go ahead and take this quick commercial break. When we come back, we'd like to have more of your thoughts here on Offsides. And 91 degrees here at the KPEL News Center as it's increasingly cloudy here at the KPEL News Center. And talking about a very interesting topic, in that socialism really growing on college campuses. And it's not just college campuses, as a matter of fact. There are 27 chapters of what we're talking about, the Democratic Socialists of America. There are now 27 chapters in high schools as well. So it's getting in at a younger age.
That's bad. I remember when just the idea of socialism or communism was so offensive to everybody.
Right.
If you were labeled a communist, well, I mean, remember, you go back a few generations, they were hunting down possible communists. And now the idea that so many young people are influenced and they are encouraged to support something like this. And as we said, I believe that this is because they just simply haven't been influenced by the older generations. Also, another big reason why people believe that this younger generation is supportive of it is because of the 2007-2008 crash.
Yes.
Because many of them argue that they saw their parents all lose their savings, lose their retirement, get laid off, and they saw big business get bailed out.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that either.
Oh,
okay,
no.
I thought that they should have let GM file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
They should have let them file bankruptcy and go through the procedure. And so I have never been a whole too big to fail supporter.
Right. No, you got good. 232-1542. I do want to say this before we go back to the phone lines. That last lady, let that be an example. She came in with a completely different point of view, but we were able to have a good conversation with her because she was respectful.
Yeah.
If you come on here and you call us names and you have a different point of view, then don't expect to have a great conversation with us.
Yeah, this doesn't mean we're racist.
Yes, but if you're like that lady it was a fun time talking with her.
Yep.
Just different opinions. 232-1542, back to the Cajun Harley hotline. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would like to respectfully rebut the last caller.
Go for
on
it.
a couple points. Okay. I'm not trying to be offensive, but it sounds like she's letting emotion get in the way of actual logical policy.
All right. Well, in fairness, now, healthcare is a very emotional subject, but go on.
It can be. Healthcare can be. But one thing she said is that, mentioned about the ladies dying from C-sections. No matter what kind of health insurance you have, sometimes people die in the hospital regardless of how good your health insurance is. That's a fact of life. But Obamacare saying fix it, one way that a lot of people see it, if you actually look at Obamacare, is that it was designed not to work. One of the things, if it was designed to work or it had so many great parts, why did Obama unilaterally postpone many of the key components until after he got reelected? Many things that he did without Congress, he held back from implementing them.
Yeah, a lot of people have that opinion that Obamacare really was just a stepping stone to a single payer.
And basically, okay, my scenario, I make just above the threshold where my family doesn't receive Medicare, but I can't afford premiums without a deductible less than $15,000 a year. So you're talking about if you have something major, you're going to go $14,000 into debt on credit cards just for the insurance to kick in. Oh. And when I couldn't afford any kind of premiums, I was getting hit with $2,800 3 years in a row fined for not having health insurance. So how is that fair? I'm paying fines to pay for someone who makes less to get free health care, or not really free, but to get subsidized health care. So I can't afford premiums, and I'm getting fined because I can't afford them.
It's the people in the middle that are just getting squeezed in this country.
That's
so bad.
Yep, the middle class gets squeezed. The rich can afford it.
Yeah.
The poverty stricken are covered, and so the ones in the middle, they're the ones that get squeezed.
The middle working class, like this guy here.
And then look at the entitlement programs right now. Even regardless of the other countries, but our entitlement programs, what condition are they in? They're collapsing. So if we would have implemented universal health care way back when she suggested, it would have been a complete mess.
Yeah, it could have been.
One of the big problems is overpricing and not enough competition in the healthcare market.
Well, a lot of people have the opinion that is one of the simplest things that we could do that would bring the prices down is open up interstate competition.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my last point, like, say I had an MRI and I found a place that took cash. I need an MRI on a knee. Yeah. Okay. They charged me $400, which, is a lot of money, but it's better than the $3,000 bill that they accidentally sent me, which they said is what they would have charged my insurance if I wouldn't have paid cash.
Well, there you go. What's the price? Obviously, they can afford to do it for $400.
Correct. It's a cash price or it's an insurance price.
Yeah. Well, these things run parallel. Okay, the cost of some of these procedures are parallel to what the insurance companies are willing to pay. And I don't want to change the subject, but what comes to mind is tuition and TOPS. We started implementing government funding for students to get their tuition or part of their tuition paid. Well, what happened? Tuition went up. And so I think that is a parallel to what we're talking about here. Can they do it for $400? Obviously they can. But the insurance companies, and listen, I don't blame them. All right. If you were in any kind of a business and you had customers that are willing to pay 100, 200, 300% more than what you're charging right now, you'd be a fool not to charge it.
Yeah. And my last point, the reason I really called before I heard that last caller, we're talking about the communists on campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not everybody should go to college either. So how many people that are going to college and getting in debt are getting indoctrinated?
That spawns a whole new conversation.
Brandon and I were discussing this before we went on today, that college is not – everybody now has the premeditated idea that to succeed in life in any way, you must receive a college education. And it's completely false. That's totally not true. But it's what parents gear up for as well. You start having children, one of the first things you start thinking about is saving for college. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that kid, you cannot implement that opinion on children. I mean, kids grow up now. By the time they get into high school, they have no clue as to what it would be to consider a lifestyle that did not receive a college education. It is embedded in their head that they have to get a college education.
Well, I'm curious, and thank you so much, caller. I'm curious that as this democratic socialism, if it continues spreading throughout these campuses like wildfire, when you combine that with the rising cost of tuition, I wonder if colleges are going to start, enrollments are going to start dropping in the future.
I hope so.
232-1542. All right, caller, you're up next. Go ahead.
I can relate to what the gentleman just said about the $400 cash price versus $6,000 billed to his insurance. And the reason is not because they can get away with it. The reason is because the government doesn't pay enough. And most of the people that walk in the hospital are on some form of government insurance, or not insurance, but some form of government payment system for their health care. And the problem is that I'm paying, or we who have private insurance are paying for 6, 7 other people to have the same procedure. And that is the issue here. You take the government out of our health care, provide a safety net for those who really can't afford it, and you've got a whole different system. The problem with our system is the government. And let me tell you something. There is no other country in the world who has the healthcare system that we have. People mortgage their homes in Europe and in Canada to come and have procedures done here. There's people dying waiting for Coumadin to be administered. There's nothing good about the other system. Socialism doesn't work on any level in any portion of any economy. And listen to some of some of the advocates for capitalism that you can find readily on YouTube. And I can tell you, I mean, it's just a disaster. These people are crazy. This Cynthia Nixon running for governor, the Democratic Socialists. I mean, they're nuts. They're lunatics, and they're going to if America ever gets pulled totally in that direction. I mean, which Obama did his level best to do it stealthily, at least in some cases. We're gonna be in big trouble. We're gonna have a lot of freedom of speech issues and all the things you're talking about. I completely concur with. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
So, just a quick history lesson for the Bernie supporter earlier. Back in 1929, when the stock market crashed, that's what cost Truman his second term that he was going to run for, and that's when FDR took over. And all the economists nowadays, they can look back and they can see all these government programs, because Roosevelt wasn't anything more than a socialist himself.
Oh, he was you're right. He was very socialist.
It just drug out the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
My grandpa was, recipient of the Corps of Civilian something or another, the CCC or whatever it was. And so they had all these government handouts and the government dole, and all it did was make things worse. And the only thing that saved this country is when that dirty socialist kicked the bucket and died.
Well, that's kind of severe, but I hear you.
Well, and let's say this, too, now. What also helped save the country was World War II because of all the manufacturing and
it created a lot of jobs.
Created a lot of jobs.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what brought my family to New Orleans. My family came down to work on the boats in New Orleans because my grandfather was looking for a job. And he couldn't find one in Mount Carroll, Illinois.
And Obama did the same thing when the stock market took a dip in 07, 08. You know, that's what made it to where, well, not that John McCain was any prize anyway, but that's the main reason he lost, because there was a Republican in office when the stock market dropped. They thought, socialist was the answer, and all he did was make it worse.
Yeah, good point.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody, we'll be right back here on Offsides. Keep your calls coming in, 232-1542, the Cajun Harley Hotline. Welcome back to Offsides, everybody. We're having a great conversation about some data, new data, that shows socialism is growing rapidly on college campuses. A lot of young people, especially those under 30, are very favorable of the idea of socialism over capitalism. A lot of very disturbing statistics that Brandon and I shared at the top of the hour. And what I found very interesting and entertaining, actually, was that how this same demographic, after they start working and paying their bills, their opinions about socialism and free health care and free tuition and a lot of issues that they were very supportive of, they change their mind after they start coming up with the money.
When I think of paying bills, I think of that being a part of a lifestyle. And looking at the Constitution for the young Democratic Socialists of America, they have 5 objectives. And I'm not going to read all of them, but I'm going to read the first 2. The first one are the number 1 and the number 5. Number 1 is to build the power of students, campus communities, and youth to fight for equality, justice, and democratic socialism. The 5th objective is to educate and train YDSA members to prepare them for a lifetime of organizing in the service of a democratic socialist future. Yeah. So this is not something that they're just taught and then, hey, you can keep the concepts later on. This is a training to try to keep them as, like we talked about, professional protesters.
Yes, they have a very specific agenda. This is well thought out, and you just spelled it out right there. I mean, they have a instructional manual, as it sounds like. That sounds like an instructional manual.
232-1542. Let's go ahead and head back to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the Cajun Harley Hotline. Go ahead.
Is that me?
That's
yes,
you.
Hello.
Outstanding. Hey, the lady earlier made the comment about Norway, and they seem to be real happy. Well, all of Europe would be speaking Russian if it wasn't for the fact that we didn't go down that road. And we supplied a military that could protect all of Europe from the Russian invasion. Mm-hmm. And if people don't think they didn't have their sights on taking over Europe, hell, they took over half of Germany, and they would have well taken over the rest of Europe if it wasn't for the fact that we provided for the defense.
Oh, okay. It's a good point, yeah.
It's a good point.
Thank you, caller.
All of Europe owes us.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
232-1542. Caller, you're up next. Go ahead.
So I'm going to really give y'all a tailspin.
Go for it.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so here you go. I just hired a new crew in the capital city of Louisiana. And these young men are willing to work. Not their first job. Got their first paycheck after working 2 weeks with us. And I get a phone call this morning from them saying that I paid too much in taxes. I'm like, I beg your pardon? He said, I'm tax exempt. I said, what do you mean you're tax exempt? He said, the most I've ever paid is $30. I said, well, if you're tax exempt, I need to let the federal government know that they owe me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could get tax exempt?
Because if you're tax exempt on payroll taxes, I'm getting the raw end of the deal.
How did they have this opinion? Did they explain to you how it was that they came to this opinion?
They did not, Shannon. They did not. Listen, they have been getting federal government assistance. And listen, I'm fine with that. That's great. I'm giving you an opportunity to better yourself. I have given you a job. You have gotten a paycheck that is substantial for 50 hours a week that you probably have never seen. And then all of a sudden it's like, I paid too much in taxes. The most I've ever paid is $30. It's like, no, I've been tax exempt. And he said, listen, I made $1,000 in one time, and all I ever paid was $100. I said, it's impossible. It's impossible. And furthering the conversation, I told him, I said, listen, I'll be more than happy to not charge you taxes, but be prepared that at the end of the year, the IRS is coming to get you for their payroll taxes. Okay?
Yeah. And then you got the penalties, and they get some. Whew.
Now, are these job descriptions? Does this job description fall into the category that could be a 1099?
Well, it can be a 1099 even if it was with me. If I choose to be a 1099, you're more than welcome to not pay your taxes if you want. Mm-hmm. Or 1099.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm asking is because there are jobs that cannot be 1099s. A person cannot elect to be a 1099 under any job description. So I was just curious what type of a job it was.
It's a construction job.
Yeah.
And it's a company that you're working for, and it's a reputable company.
I see.
But anyway, and something else I wanted to share with you guys. Two things. The lady that called in earlier, I really appreciate what she said. I think we could all learn from speaking to someone with someone like that has a different opinion. Mm-hmm. That's how we learn, is listening.
Oh, I agree. And I'll tell you.
When people disagree and they get obnoxious and they go on that then you turn everyone else. But that lady was first class.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's how we can find some common ground in some conversations. And I'll tell you, I was mentioning to Brandon during one of the breaks, right after we hung up with her, that I do think that the government should provide some type of health care for people that cannot afford it, but not in the way that I think that socialism would suggest. I would rather see some type of a government-run clinic system or some government-run hospitals like Charity Hospital was in New Orleans, because I'll tell you, a lot of people
don't run it like the VA system.
Not the VA. That's exactly right. Not like the VA system. I would like to see our government provide some type of care for those who cannot afford the insurance and cannot afford the penalty for not having the insurance. But having said that, I agree with you completely that it was good to have. It's good to be able to speak with somebody that has a different opinion that can explain why they have that opinion and articulate where they're coming from without hollering and screaming and calling people racist or homophobes. Yep. That's when things just get out of control, and that's all you hear now.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
All right, 232-1542, back to the Cajun Harley Hotline. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out a few things. One is that in the colleges now, I'm not saying that all of them are foreign exchange students, but there's a high number of foreigners in our colleges. A lot of them are American citizens their parents came here as, immigrants, and they are citizens born here. Mm-hmm. But they have a very different philosophy than people that were here for generations. And I say that, but what we really have to worry about is actually our school system and local government, especially here. It seems that we've gotten so liberalized in Lafayette that we're losing our identity. They want to protect this person. Yeah. They want to protect that group of folks, but they're not protecting the people that made this place friendly. And a lot of folks across the world, the country even said, hey, Lafayette is a warm, welcoming place. And they had this in journals for hundreds of years. But there's one thing that's changing. They're singling out all of this for socialism because every time they have some kind of new rule or guideline, it just puts us in another box.
I would like
to. People that are losing out is the people that were here already.
I tell you, you bring up a good point. I would like to see this same poll given right here at our own university, at ULL. Yeah. I'd like to know how many of the students here in Acadiana would be supportive of the idea of socialism, because, there are very liberal. I mean, if you took the poll at any college or any school in Austin or Portland or San Francisco or any number of places, Boulder, compared to here, you would see a stark difference in people's opinion of what they think the government should and should not be doing.
So I know this is still a small number, and it probably doesn't include UL. But basically, the organization that we've been talking about, the Young Democratic Socialists of America, they only had 15 chapters across the country in 2016. Since that fall drive that happened last year and the numbers have been going up, students from more than 250 campuses signed up. Now, not all of that is college. Again, there are about 27 of them that are high school. So that's at least about 223 campuses across the country.
Yes.
So it's been spreading.
It's spreading. Mm-hmm. I would just like to know the exact.
Where
and just
at.
Because they have a chapter here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make that clear. Mm-hmm. Let's say UL had a chapter. They may have 3 members.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't really reflect
because chapters must have at least 3 members.
That's what That's right. They only need 3 people to have a chapter. Okay. So that doesn't really reflect a whole lot. Or if you've got 250 chapters, for example, that could be as little as 750 people.
It could be.
Yeah. I'm sure that some have more, but the fact of the matter is, just because UL would potentially have a chapter, it doesn't really mean much. You're only talking about 3 idiots.
Well, since we're touching on some of the guidelines for what chapters have to have, here's one that I thought was interesting. No one over 30 years old is allowed to hold an elected office within the organization. That sounds like ageism.
Yeah, that's now that's discriminated.
Yeah,
that's age discrimination.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Thank you, caller. I thought that was interesting.
I mean,
when
that's
we're
just
talking
so
about this,
idiotic. It's so reflective of what these organizations are. You only need 3 people to have a chapter, and you can't be more than 30 years old.
232-1542. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay, it's my turn?
It's your turn.
Sir.
All right. Hey, first of all, we conservatives need to find a way to get the message out to these wannabe socialists and teach them the difference. Unless you're physically totally disabled, to me, socialism, you're either a producer or you're a parasite. And we need to teach them, what a parasite is. It latches on to something healthy and drains it of all its energy until there's nothing left, and then it moves on to another host. Socialism does not work. I mean, if they just listen to 1 or 2 of Ben Shapiro's explanations of it, it's very simple. He puts it into real easy terms.
But you'd be assuming that they'd be coming into it with an open mind. I mean, we've seen somebody comes into a conversation where they have one set mind or a one-track mind. It doesn't matter how good the argument is on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
If they don't want to open their mind up, then they're going to stay the way that they are.
Yeah, all too often we get people calling us on the show, and we try to get into a dialogue back and forth, and they just can't do it.
I know, but somebody needs to take them and shake them and say, hey, wake up. You're dreaming.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Let's get one more in before we have to end off the hour. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, sir.
Yes, hello.
Yes, in 1968 is when the dollar was worth the most. And in 69, we sent a man to the moon. Now, the lady talks about Norway. Norway is 98% Norwegian people. Everybody makes the same amount of money. And she's trying to compare that with the U.S. U.S. is the greatest. We are they talk about world economy. We are the world economy because of capitalism. The young kids today don't know that. They don't know history, so they want to take the statues down. None of them have ever visited where Mr. Murtaugh got killed in the battle in Louisiana. None of them realize their great-grandfathers fought in the war.
Well, I think we could definitely agree that history is not being taught the way that it needs to be today. And I thought that going back to earlier in the hour, when the man talked about teaching free enterprise, and in the 70s when free enterprise was mandatory, and now it's not. And now is it not only mandatory, but in some of these institutions of quote-unquote higher learning, you're getting taught the complete opposite of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's no wonder.
It's a complete reversal of information.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead. Thank you, caller. We're going to end it there. But coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, it is I Hate Mondays. What's on your chest? What you got to get off your chest? Well, give us a call at 232-1542. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Offsides. I'm Shannon Wilkerson here with Brandon Comeaux. Thanks for joining us for today's broadcast. We'll be with you until 6 o'clock. It is currently 5:08. cloudy Monday afternoon, and it is Monday at 5, and that means I hate Mondays. And if people aren't familiar with this is a segment, an hour-long segment that Brandon and I started, quite a while back, because we ended up in a conversation with a few callers about how so many people just dislike the day of Monday more than all the other days, and a lot of people emphasize that through this conversation that we have every Monday. We get a lot of very interesting calls. And what we do is Brandon and I talk about things that we don't like, things that we hate, and we open up the phone lines at 232-1542 to allow our listeners to call in and vent with us at no cost. And that's the most important part.
Absolutely.
It's great therapy.
It is. It's a lot of fun. We get a lot of people that call in. So if you're trying to get in and you're having a hard time getting through, don't give up. Don't give up. Persistence could pay off for you. So with that being said, we do open up the phone lines. We welcome your calls, 232-1542. All right, Shannon, I know you got one on your list.
I got a big one, okay? Yes. I hate Sarah Jeong. Okay, Sarah Jeong is a technology writer for the New York Times, and she has recently gone on a Twitter attack of white people, and it's outrageous that the New York Times has not fired her yet. Let me share with you some of her tweets. Okay, one of them is, "Oh man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men." She goes on another one that says, "White people are marking up the internet with their opinions like dogs peeing on fire hydrants." Another one, she has hashtag white people. A third one that I'll share with you is, "We don't need a military draft. We need a castration lottery for white men. Every month we pull a birthday, sort the excess, and snip some." I'm going to leave that out.
Yeah.
"Preferably in a big public gathering. Imagine how serene public transportation would be." This is Sarah Jeong at the New York Times, and I hate this person, first off, because this is a racist, aggressive attack suggesting people perform hate crimes, and another reason is because I do happen to be a white guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but everybody should be contacting the New York Times and telling them that they need to get rid of this woman. Imagine if anybody, a white man, a white woman, anybody of, and now she's of Asian descent, and I am just curious how long it would last if anybody had the same exact tweets, except they substituted white with black or Hispanic or Asian or any other race. It wouldn't last. It wouldn't last 1 minute. They would be ostracized internationally, fired out on their can in a split second. But for some reason, the New York Times feels that Sarah Jeong is worthy of continuing to work there.
You know, racism is racism. It doesn't matter if it's white against black. It doesn't matter if it's Asian against white. Racism is racism. And that's the crazy thing about the far left in this country, is that the far left thinks that racism against white people is just not possible, and that it doesn't matter what's said against white people, that nothing will make up for the injustices carried out during slavery. Well, as we've talked about before, white people are not the only ones that committed slavery. And again, racism is racism. It doesn't matter what race is doing it to the other, and it's wrong and it's terrible. And this woman right here is a horrible excuse of a person.
Yeah, she really just needs to go away. Stay home.
232-1542. With that, we open up the phone lines, go back to them. Caller, you're on the air. This is I Hate Mondays. Go ahead.
Okay, that's me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, hello.
Okay, great. Okay, on I-49 between Lafayette and Opelousas, they got speed limit signs.
Yes.
And right under the sign, there's a radar thing that flashes out your speed, which is good.
Yeah.
Except that the speed limit is 70, and sometimes I'll be going like 63 or 64, and then all of a sudden it starts flashing, slow down, slow down. Why?
Well, because it's broken.
Yeah, it sounds like
it must be broken, yeah.
I mean, that's been like that for weeks. Now, the ones on I-10, they're fine. It says what your speed is, and it'll flash. But that one on I-49, I'm doing under the speed limit. It's telling me to slow down.
And you sure it's not getting the person behind you or in front of you?
Yeah, I've noticed a bunch of times it does that. And I'm the only one there, and it's telling me to slow down, and I'm not even going the speed limit.
Wow.
Just saying.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I
thank
mean,
you.
it's a perfect example of how technology doesn't work all the time and how those traffic cameras could maybe be sending out speeding tickets where they still have them to people that aren't necessarily speeding because somebody's thinking you're speeding and you weren't.
Well, thank you, caller. That's definitely one that I bet you some people traveling that area are probably agreeing with you on. And yes, Shannon, we do have some people cutting grass outside the studio.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I don't know if y'all can hear it over the microphone.
Yeah, somebody's running around out there with a blower.
232-1542. All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Brandon. I thought a UFO may have been landing out there or something. But all seriously, I've heard this so many years now that racism only pertains to a black individual, which is baloney.
Yeah.
If you remember the speech Obama gave on ISIS, that white male Christians were a bigger threat than ISIS.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
This is his whole rhetoric, man. It's continuing. It's to trash white people, specifically Christians. I got into an argument this afternoon. Well, I'm not going to say an argument, but I got into discussion.
Yes. Simply
because Chick-fil-A, the girl made a comment that Chick-fil-A was a terrible place to eat and visit because homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wait a minute. That's your belief. They're not homophobic. And again, this deals with Obama's rhetoric, how Christians are the haters. I don't hate anyone. You do whatever you want in life. You're free to do that. But don't subject your beliefs onto mine and demand that I believe the same as you do. In the workplace is not to discuss these things, but I just couldn't help myself. She was just so ignorant on saying, Chick-fil-A, because they don't accept homosexual relationships, they're racist. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, or homophobes.
Yeah. Thank you, caller.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I really hate?
What's that?
People like y'all and people in the audience calling Hispanic a race. I am Hispanic. I'm a white man. People of Hispanic descent are from Europe, Spain. That's on the continent of Europe. They're white. Not all white people. White people come in all kind of colors, too. Not all Africans are dark. Tunisians are not all dark. Libyans are not all dark, yet they're all Africans. Don't call Hispanics a race. It's an ethnicity. Thanks.
All right. Jeez.
All right. Well, hey, at least he was in the spirit of the day.
I guess so. Yeah. I didn't listen. We're off limits. All right.
Hey,
we're off limits to I Hate Mondays. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
No, we appreciate the call.
All right. 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
I hate listening to all these rich, liberal, oppressed victims. Oh, we're such a victim, we're so oppressed, but yet they get a national stage and a six-figure job, and they talk about how oppressed they are.
There are quite a few athletes that fall into the category that you're talking about that annoy the heck out of me.
Those poor millionaires.
Get off the nipple. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Stop being a victim and a whiner. Nobody likes a victim.
Yeah, I agree. Except for like real victims.
Yes.
Okay, there are real victims that are victims of violent crimes, victims of real abuse. But yeah, you're right. People that want to put themselves into that same category when they really don't belong in that category, the ones I think you're referring to.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
All right, 232-1542. You're up next, caller. Go ahead.
All right, what's going on, guys?
No, good.
Man, I really hate when somebody does your wife wrong at work or whatnot, and then she comes home, and you effectively become that person.
Hey, man,
this is a good one.
That's what happens when you put that ring on your finger. You become the villain of anybody.
Yeah, you get to become somebody else every day.
And you can't.
That's right.
And you can't get to go to her office and have a word with that person that did her wrong because you're not supposed to go fix the problem. You're supposed to listen.
No, that's exactly right. You're supposed to listen and understand and then take the brunt of it all.
That's right. You become a mute as well. Yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, it's part of the deal. Okay, It's in the manual. All right, it's in the manual. Okay, you knew what you were getting into before you walked down the aisle, and that's okay. There's other things in the manual that work to our favor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Love my wife. She's the best. Try to be there for her.
Well, there you go, man. Yeah. Hey, listen. You either smile and nod or you frown and nod. Okay, that's all. Okay, if she's happy and she's talking about something or just talking about you just smile and nod. But if she's not happy, you got to frown and nod.
Yeah,
you know. And then about every 10 or 15 seconds, you give a little Man.
Sometimes you just want someone to listen to him.
Yes.
And you get that honor. And it really is an honor. I'm not joking about that part. All right, 232-1542. We're going to go ahead and take this quick commercial break. But first, your J&J Exterminating Pest of the Day.
Time to call in the experts. It's the J&J Pest of the Day.
All right, so we head outside of the continental U.S. to the island of Hawaii as a man there is in trouble with the law for allegedly attacking a 5-year-old who he thought looked at him funny.
Dustin Fabro is accused of attacking the boy last week in the front yard of his young boy's Kalihi home over the way he looked at him.
Those who saw the incident say Fabro was repeatedly kicking the little boy Nico in the head.
The kid was pretty badly hurt with a concussion and staples needed in his head.
Now, Fabro was charged with a misdemeanor and released on bail, but it certainly is not his first brush with the law for violence.
That's right. He attacked a California hospital worker nearly a decade ago after a moped incident. So, Dustin Fabro from Hawaii is your J&J Exterminating Pest of the Day.
Go take some anger management classes.
Yeah, really.
And it is 83 degrees right now as the temperature dropping with this overcast weather conditions that we've got going on outside.
I'll tell you, it's 5:20 and it's pretty dark outside.
Yeah.
And so that's a kind of an illustration of what it's going to look like in a few months after daylight savings time.
Oh, good point. Now, I will say this. Hopefully the rain holds off until most of Lafayette is able to get safely into their homes after
like
the 5
me.
o'clock. Yeah, like you. 232-1542. Let's go back to the Cajun Harley hotline as we have a caller that's been waiting patiently over the break on this I Hate Monday. Go ahead, caller.
I hate Mondays, but I love this beautiful weather.
Well, we love the overcast
much cooler,
weather.
Yeah.
It is so nice right now. Make sure to roll the windows down.
Yeah.
I was just calling in regard to the gentleman who was so upset about ethnicity and race. And I can understand the confusion because when you fill out forms, they ask for race, not ethnicity.
Yeah.
That's not, that's the standard procedure. And I understand his concern because we're all one race, the human race.
Right.
And he is correct in saying that ethnicity is where basically your background is. However, to take offense like that and take it out on you guys, I thought was uncalled for.
I thought so too. I thought that was, there's some things that we say that I know upset some people, but is that really worth all that grief?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to upset him with something like that. Some people we want to upset, and when we see that they're upset, good work, because they need to be upset about whatever it is that we're discussing. But something like that, I don't want somebody to be angry about something we said in that regard, but it didn't seem like it was worth that much grief.
But you know how we all have something that gets under our skin that maybe bothers us, but doesn't bother someone else as much as it. That must be his thing.
I don't know.
Because
never
there was
happens
anger.
to me, buddy.
There was anger in his voice on that one.
Yeah, he was sincerely mad.
He was PO'd.
Yeah.
All right, caller, thank you. 232-1542, we'll get this called, and I'm going to go ahead and get one off of my list.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just real quick, I hate Mondays because I'm the guy that called 3 weeks ago, and my wife was going to become a vegetarian.
Oh, God,
and Shannon, I was hoping you were right, but she's in it to win it.
Gosh.
So just a warning to those guys out there that think that it won't last. It might last.
Well, how long has it been going on?
3 weeks.
Oh, you're still way
early stages.
It's way early. Okay, it's really way early. I tell you, give it about another month and call us.
Well, let me ask you this: what are your, I don't mean to put you on the spot, But what are some foods that your wife enjoys eating?
Oh, spaghetti squash.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But no meat.
Oh, look,
no meat, right?
I hate spaghetti squash.
Oh, I don't mind it.
Oh, I hate it.
I don't mind it much.
Look, there's a lot of vegetables that I've been incorporating more into my life.
Yeah.
But spaghetti squash, the texture of it, I hate it.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not bad for me.
Ugh.
I'm not going to order it at a restaurant.
Oh.
Okay. So, all right, now hold on. Let's get to the meat of it. All right. Excuse the pun.
Pun intended.
Pun
yes.
intended. That's exactly right. What is it? What is the worst part so far for you?
It's the fact that I'm not going to go all that way, and I tried a little bit. Yeah. And like right now, I'm in the parking lot of Cane's, so that's what I'm about to get.
Man, good for it.
That's the worst part.
Get you some chicken tenders.
Separate stuff.
Yeah, well, now you're going to be a closet meat eater.
You know, that reminds me of my grandfather. Thank you, caller. When I was a kid, he would pick me up and he would bring me to, whether it was Burger Time, Mr. Chef, or a little bit later on, Burger King.
Yeah.
And he would order himself some fries. Now, he wasn't supposed to have it because he was diabetic.
Yeah.
But he'd order some fries and he'd shovel them in his mouth in the 5 minutes he had between there and the house.
Home, yeah.
Yes. So why are you eating so fast, Pappy? I'm hungry.
Right.
It was told to me later on.
It's a secret.
He was trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah, good for him.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I hate about Mondays, it don't happen often, but I hate it when my wife's in the car and we're listening to y'all show, especially if it's a controversial discussion you're having.
Yeah.
Because she goes on a rant with her opinions, and I can't hear y'all.
Oh, wonderful. Now, wait, I have a question. Is she usually going on a rant agreeing with us or disagreeing with us?
Well, it depends on the topic.
Okay, some of both. All right.
But it sets her off either way.
But she goes on a rant, and then when she finishes it, she starts from the beginning again. And I keep itching up the radio trying to get her to take the hint, but it don't ever work.
Yeah. Well, once again, it's the price you pay, man. It's in the manual.
Thank you, caller. All right, 232-1542. By the way, women, if you got any complaints, today would be the day to get them out. All right, you're on the air, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, by the way, I tried call last Monday, but the phone was busy. But this Monday, I hate, but I got to tell y'all, the blue wave is coming again.
Oh, this guy.
Come on.
Look at
Oh, Lord, man.
This is comical every time.
It is. Try not to do so many bong hits.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I hate on Monday.
Okay.
But I hate it every day.
Yeah.
Kale. Kale is the worst vegetable that.
That's disgusting.
Yes. What is that? It doesn't even look like a food.
I don't know, but I just hate it.
I don't know.
I'll eat Brussels sprouts before kale.
Oh, I don't want that either.
Man,
Brussels.
For me, the nasty three: kale, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli. That's my nasty three.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, I'll go ahead and put spaghetti squash though over.
You really don't like that?
I really don't like it. I'll put spaghetti squash over broccoli because I can eat some grilled broccoli.
I can eat
grilled
some
the right way.
Yeah,
I
can eat grilled broccoli.
I can't get over the texture.
I cannot stand Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that's nasty.
Just the smell of it makes me ill, and so most vegetables I don't like. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. All right, 232-1542. This is what I love about I Hate Mondays. We never know the direction that it's going.
Now, we're ragging on vegetables.
All right, caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing about the vegetarian thing.
Yeah.
My daughter tried to get me to eat vegetarian for a while, and she'd make these vegetable dishes that they spice up and try and make it taste like meat. And it's a perfectly good vegetable or rice.
Yeah.
But when they put these seasonings in to try and make it taste like meat, it doesn't pass for meat, and it doesn't pass for a good vegetable. So they ruin a good vegetable trying to make it taste like meat. And then what's worse is when they take a vegetarian dish and add meat to it, but they still got them spices to try and make them vegetables taste like meat. So now it tastes like fake vegetables, fake meat, something or other.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it just ruins it completely. It ruins the meat and the vegetables.
Well, the fact that they're trying to make it taste like meat says a lot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, if it's so good, then why not just let it taste like it tastes on its own instead of trying to make it taste like meat? I will tell you this, though. I saw a headline the other day. Okay. I was scrolling just yesterday. It's funny this comes up, that in the last year, there are 4 million more animals right now that are alive because less people are eating meat.
Well, that's okay. I saw a man on TV trying to cook a tofu steak and make it tasty. And it looked like he's cooking a slab of lard and basting it with some brown juice. And talking about how wonderful this is, and you got to get the good grill marks. And I was like, I don't think grill marks are going to make a slab of lard taste.
It's not going to happen, man. You can make it look like something. It's not going to taste like something else.
Yeah, thank you, caller.
Thank you.
I can only take tofu in a very, very small quantity, like in a miso soup or something like that.
No.
I can't take it any bigger than that.
I can't take it, period.
All right, 232-1542, caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to say the one thing I hate is the way liberals frame arguments, because they try to frame it in a way that you can't win. And so if you say a South Korean girl can't be a racist because she's a minority, or a black person can't be a racist since they're a minority, well, okay, but you can still be a bigot. And the New York Times is allowing a bigot on their staff who was openly bigoted towards white males in particular. And vegetarians can wake up. The reason we have insides is because God thought we should eat meat. So I'll hang up.
And here's what I would say
about
that, man, with the meat conversation. Instead of going completely meatless, try eating, if you're going to try to go for healthier, just try eating healthier meats. You
could do that.
Just watch what you're buying at the store. I mean, don't go for the full red meat. Maybe go for something like a good turkey meat.
Yeah.
Look,
we eat meat constantly.
Right.
Okay. We eat meat twice a day at least. But we do eat a variety of different meats. Okay. We eat a lot of rotisserie chicken. Mm-hmm. We'll get those big rotisserie chickens that you can get now at the store and make all kinds of different things with it. Yeah. And we eat turkey. We eat ground turkey. Yeah. We eat very lean ground beef.
Right.
And we eat steak. It's just it's how we eat. Now we eat a lot of eggs. And things like that. But I'm not going to stop.
No, see, like for us, unless we're going to eat out, which we'll have a burger or something, like if we'll do, let me take, for instance, a healthier lasagna. I love lasagna, okay? And you do too.
Yes.
Eggplant, but eggplant lasagna with, and there's some delicious turkey meat that's got an Italian seasoning that I found at one of our local stores.
Yeah, right.
That is amazing.
Sure.
And it makes for an incredible lasagna, and it's a healthier version of lasagna.
Yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I wouldn't order it.
Right,
I don't think I would order it at a restaurant.
I don't order healthy when I go eat out.
Yeah, and if my wife said, hey, you want me to make that type of lasagna that Brandon was talking about, I would say, no, make the normal lasagna. Okay? But if I were a guest at somebody's house, and that was one of the things that they were serving, I would probably enjoy it.
All right, 232-1542. Let's get another caller on the line. You're on the air, caller. Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. I just wanted to say I hate when people ruin my appetite talking about grilled tofu.
Oh, nasty.
Yeah. I was hungry at the beginning of this hour.
That's terrible.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Yeah, have you ever heard of a tofurkey?
Yes. That just doesn't sound right.
Well, it's not. I have a friend that is a vegetarian, and every Thanksgiving we have to buy a tofurkey for her, and naturally she's the only one that eats it. But
have you ever tasted it?
Yeah.
Have you tasted it?
Oh yeah.
Can you describe what it tastes like?
It tastes like tofu. But I'm a bad one to be asked because my dad was a butcher, and I've eaten meat just about every day of my life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and I'm approaching 70, and I'm halfway healthy.
By the way, if you would have said it tastes like crap, that would have been an acceptable answer as well.
I was going to say crap. That's exactly what I was going to say. And there's a lot of people now. My wife has some friends, and we have some relatives that have gone completely vegan, and they have lost a lot of weight now. Okay, these people lose weight. I argue that they lose weight because the food tastes so bad. Okay, that's really, I really believe that. I mean, I really believe that they, and in fact, my wife went to go visit them recently.
Yeah,
these are my relatives in Austin.
Yeah,
and she cooked. Okay, and my wife cooked.
Yeah.
And she said that they scarfed it up like they were starving animals. Okay. And it was all gone in a matter of minutes. And I don't remember what she made, but she made normal food, I guess you'd say. Food that like we eat on a regular basis. And like what they used to eat on a regular basis before they went vegan. Yeah. And but I think that they're losing a lot of weight simply because the food doesn't taste good, not necessarily because it's healthier for you. But thank you for the call. All right, there's Cajun Harley-Davidson calling for you. Cajun Harley-Davidson now has a new offer called Warranty Forever. Warranty Forever provides a lifetime limited powertrain warranty. This warranty is included in every new and pre-owned bike under 5 years old, and it is at no additional cost to the buyer.
Also, Cajun Harley-Davidson is the only Harley-Davidson dealership in the state of Louisiana that has the Warranty Forever program. Now, regular maintenance is required, so make sure you go into Cajun Harley-Davidson and discuss the details with one of the awesome sales team members.
All right, y'all stay tuned. Keep your calls coming in. We're right in the middle of I Hate Mondays, but we don't hate you. We'll be waiting for your call. 232-1542. Welcome back to Offsides, everybody. Right in the middle of I Hate Mondays. Lots of phone calls coming in. This is it sometimes gets very entertaining on Mondays. Today is no concession to that.
Yeah,
we're getting a lot of really good things coming in about vegetables and vegans and a lot of fun.
I mean, I've got this big list right here, but I mean, the people are just coming up with such good ones. So
yeah, let's go to the phone lines.
Keep on going. 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I want to touch back on the vegan thing that y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
I hate militant vegans. I wasn't sure. I just got into my vehicle and turned you guys on, and I didn't hear the whole spiel about what's going on with the vegans, but I hate militant vegans. I mean, the ones that are so anti-meat that if they even think that you're going to eat meat around them, they will get in your face.
It's like far left liberals that if you have a different idea than them, then they go crazy on you.
Yeah.
Yes. My wife's sister is a vegan chef. And we went to a family gathering in Texas, and we went to a little eatery. And they invited us, and we showed up at this Lebanese place. And I'm from Louisiana. I think I have a wide variety of tastes in food, and I like a whole bunch of things. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, this stuff that she was eating was horrible.
Yeah. It's bad.
As soon as we left out of there, I went straight to a Whataburger.
Good for you. That's the way to respond right there. And you're absolutely right. Some of them are very militant and aggressive. They do not like meat eaters, and they are strictly opposed to those who enjoy it.
Oh, man. And look, I'm sitting there trying to keep a straight face, eating this garbage. And my wife is sitting there kicking me under the table because every time I take a bite, I'm like,
you're wincing.
Oh, man. Oh, man, this is so great. She's just waylaying on me.
Oh,
and I'm like,
you poor guy. Well, once again, it's in the job description.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up next. Go ahead.
I hate when people say they have friends that are vegan. Whenever a friend goes vegan, they need to be cast out, and you need to let them know that kind of behavior can't be tolerated.
Yeah, it's the end of the friendship.
Carnivores and herbivores cannot be friends. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's a survival thing. You're right. And these are people that eat mushy cardboard. Thank you for the
call. We
have
evolved to cooked food. We can handle meat just fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Right,
thanks for the call.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up next. Go ahead.
Guys, you know what I hate? I hate it when, so I'm trying to lose a few pounds, okay?
Yeah.
I hate it when I have about 8 guys around me all trying to tell me what I need to do to lose weight, and they're about one jelly bean for popping their own pants.
Yeah. Yeah, well, everybody's a know-it-all. There's a lot of professionals in every arena out there.
the thing with it is if you eat less and move around more, you're going to lose weight. That's it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thanks
for the call.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up next. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to add to the vegan thing. The reason why they're so angry is because they're hungry and their food tastes like crap.
Yes.
That's why they're so mad at the rest of us people. And what I hate is hackers. I recently had my account hacked into, and a message was sent to every single one of my contacts on Facebook, every single one of them, and they were a certain type of adult actress. Guys, girls, everybody. They were all now adult actresses in adult films. And I had people for days, what? Why did you send me this? And I'm like, seriously, people?
Oh, yeah.
You know I don't message you. So why would I all of a sudden message you something like that? Like, I actually had people tell me, well, this is inappropriate, or this is so not cool. It's like, hey, doyo, did you even notice that it was not even YouTube videos? It was a YouTubes with an S. And why would I even send that to somebody?
Yeah.
You know? So
no,
like,
you're right. It's frustrating because that does happen to a lot of people. And I get these strange messages from friends that I barely know on Facebook that it has an attachment, and I'll get emails from people that I do know that just the headline of the email is suspect to me. I know that this is not something normal, and I'll call them or text message them, hey, did you just send me an email? And they'll say, I did not. I'm getting these messages from everybody. Don't open it.
Well, that's what happened to me. You got one from me. And, like, my cousins were like, hey, girl, you got hacked. I had somebody else. It was really funny. A guy from high school was like, hey, girl, you know, you shut down my entire network. I can't work. I can't do this and this and that. Like, the cops are on their way. Run. And I'm just like, and it was funny because he was, like, picking at me because I was really upset about it. I was trying to message everybody individually, and as I was doing this, I realized that it was, like, every single contact. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't message everybody individually, so I just I posted it for everybody to see. Hey, I got hacked. You know, don't open it, you know, but I still, like, a week later had people messaging me like, what is this all about? And you could almost see hear the attitude in their message. And at that point, I'm aggravated. I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and open it.
Yeah, well, that's
you think I would send something like that? Because, you know, I send stuff like that to people all the time, you know?
Yeah,
Since
right.
you don't have half a brain to realize it's not me.
All right.
Go ahead and open that sucker.
Easy. But we appreciate it. Yeah. But boy, you get on a roll, and it goes on, and it's usually quite entertaining, just like today's.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
All right. So now that we got a little break from the calls, let's go ahead. I want to give one as well.
Go ahead.
All right. So here's one that I think people will identify with. I hate people who excessively rev up their engines because they think their vehicle is cool. You stopped at a four-way stop.
Yeah.
Instead of just taking off like normal, got to rev up the engine first. Let everybody know you're there. Leaving the grocery store. Let's just go ahead and rev up our engine and just peel out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night, and I want this random neighborhood to hear me. Let me just rev up my engine and just slam on by.
Yeah. You can only do that if you're riding a Harley.
Well, it's not just I see people in cars.
No, I know
do
what you're
that.
talking
Yeah.
about. It is annoying, especially if it's late at night.
Yeah.
Because we live near a main thoroughfare. All right. And you can hear that.
Right.
Especially on the weekends.
Yeah.
There's a big intersection right near where we live.
Yeah.
On that main thoroughfare. And so you can hear them at that red light, revving their engines. And sometimes it's even more frustrating and angering because one person will rev their engine and then another one will do it in response.
Yeah.
And it's like this rev competition.
Yeah, it's just it's annoying. It's silly. All right, go ahead, Shannon.
All right,
you got one.
I've got one. All right, and I'm getting really risky with this one. Okay, because I know a lot of people that do this that I'm friends with, and they won't like it. But I will be honest. I don't like it when adults act like children online, making themselves look like puppies or kittens. Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm glad my wife doesn't do that.
Okay, when they add the little ears,
yes, I know.
They add the puppy dog nose,
I know, yeah,
and they add the puppy dog tongue hanging out. You're not a puppy dog. Okay, yes. Now if children did this, I would see it being cute and fun. Right. But I'm talking about grown adults, all right, that are always posting these pictures of themselves.
Yeah.
And they're a little kitty cat.
Yeah.
Okay, today I'm a kitty cat. Tomorrow I'm going to be a puppy dog. No, stop it. Please grow up.
I agree with you on that one, Shannon. All right, we're going to go ahead and take this quick commercial break. When we come back, we got a couple of people on hold right now that want to jump in. We'll get to you. You're listening to I Hate Mondays here on Offsides.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Wrapping up, we got one more segment, a few more minutes for people to share their things that they hate about Mondays or things that they hate in general. Let's go to the phone lines.
All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Let's see, one more Nutrisystem commercial with Marie Osmond.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, they gotta move on.
They can be annoying, yeah.
It could be very annoying. I remember her. She's the one that likes country. Her brother likes rock and roll. Remember that?
Yeah.
Pathetic. Thank you very much.
All right, 232-1542. Caller, you're up. Go ahead.
All right, guys. Y'all may have covered this already. I'm just getting in the car, getting down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything that with cauliflower that they try to make into something else, like riced cauliflower.
Oh, there's a couple of... Okay, so there's cauliflower boudin. Yes. And then there's also cauliflower pizza where you use the cauliflower as a substitute for bread.
There's also cauliflower. Now I've had this, and I will admit it is good. And I will not eat cauliflower.
Yeah,
but my wife can make cauliflower into a mashed potato.
What?
Yes, it's like the texture of a mashed potato, and you can use it like mashed potatoes. Like if you have a gravy or something like that. And I have to admit, it was good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to say, but see, it's not cauliflower mashed potatoes. It's just mashed cauliflower.
Yeah, that's right. It's mashed cauliflower. That's right. That's exactly right.
Do you slap some gravy on it too, Shannon?
Yeah, it's good. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, and real quick, funny story for you. Y'all were talking about vegetarianism earlier, you know, and people doing like that. My daughter, 16 years old, 2 years ago, decided she wants to be a vegetarian. Okay. We're finishing up at Olive Garden, and she hasn't told us yet. So she stands up from the table. It's my mom, my dad, everybody's there. And she looks around, and she grasps over her stomach. And she goes, y'all, I have something I want to tell you. Well, of course, being dad, 16-year-old girl, what's the first thing that pops in my mind?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've never been so relieved to find out that my daughter is a vegetarian.
Yeah, well,
compared to the alternative,
it's a definitely improvement from the alternative.
All right, guys, y'all have a great evening.
Thank you for calling.
Sounds like she was kind of smart in how she did that. Got them thinking one way. And
yes,
then...
yes.
All right,
consider something much worse.
232-1542. All right, caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
How you doing today?
Good.
My gripe today is your public service announcements.
Oh, God.
I know them all by heart. Can you please? I'll send you $10 in the mail. Change the PSAs, will you?
Which one is your non-favorite, by the way?
I can recite Dr. Phil's script.
No, the Dr. Phil one. I always picture Frank Caliendo imitating Dr. Phil when I hear the Dr. Phil commercial.
I've never heard it.
I laugh every time.
I've never heard it.
Same kind of nasal tonal, you know. All right, man. God bless.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
You know, I could play it, but maybe I'll just play it for you on the commercial break.
Okay.
All right, 232-1542. All right, we still got 1 minute left. I got some, Shannon. You got some? You want to go?
I've got one. All right. Talked about the adults, the puppy adults. All right. I hate tech support that has no tech-savvy information. I got on the phone today, and I had to speak with a company. And, of course, I went through a number of different questions. Press 2, press 1, blah, blah, blah. Ended up holding on for tech support and finally got somebody on the line. And I give you my word, they had no idea how to even understand what it was that I was explaining to them that I needed tech support for.
Yeah.
And so they had to submit this question to their supervisor, and then the supervisor is supposed to get back to me tomorrow. But if you're going to take a job as a tech support giving tech support over the phone, you should have the knowledge of the technology that you are supposed to be giving support for.
Well, that would be a good job requirement.
It would seem like that would be the pretty obvious one, right?
All right. Well, that is going to do it for the show today. We thank everybody for participating, everybody for listening. We will go ahead and take this 22-hour break. You've got Fox News at the top of the hour. Also, you've got Mark Levin coming up, and we promise no Dr. Phil commercials between now and the top of the hour news.